So, yeah, so this session is recorded, so yeah. So today we're going to be talking about AI and cybersecurity, and this is our second session. This class, if you haven't been here before, typically does involve a lot of student participation. It'd be great if you guys could unmute at times. If your camera or your mic is not working, that's okay. You can always use the chat. So yeah, any questions before I start? You guys can raise your Zoom hand because I can't see all of you when I'm screen sharing, so. Okay, so I assume that means no questions. So let's get started. So this is kind of what we're going to be talking about today. So first we're going to be talking about AI in our homes and how AI is used. We're going to be talking about cybersecurity in our homes. We're going to be talking about AI and national defense. And then today we're going to be playing a Blue-Kit instead of a Kahoot. Yeah, if anyone knows what Blue-Kit is, then that's cool. But it's pretty fun. So yay, school. Yeah, I also use in school. So yeah. Okay, let's get started. Okay, not AR, AI in our homes. So if you remember from last session, AI is when computers and systems mimic human intelligence. So what do you think an AI assistant is? Or do you want to give me a few examples of how AI is used in our homes? You guys can use the chat or you guys can just unmute. School, Siri. Okay, so Owen says Siri. That is a great example of an assistant. Okay, Alan says Alexa. Another great example. Does anyone have any other ideas? Or do you guys want to define maybe what an AI assistant is? Because, okay. If you guys want to speak, you guys can just unmute or you can raise your hands and I can call you, or you can use the chat function, whatever is most convenient. Dishwasher. Alan, do you want to explain a little further how a dishwasher could use AI?
It helps us wash our dishes instead of doing it by hand, which takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
Instead,
Do you want to keep going?
instead you could just like put your dishes inside, put some like soapy stuff inside, and then close the door, press a couple buttons, and like after a couple of hours, it's done.
Yeah, so that's a good point. So some smart dishwashers are able to use AI to like calculate when to do like the dishwashing, and that goes for a lot of like kitchen appliances and other like appliances just around your house. They can include AI. Not every single household appliance has AI in it or is run by like AI algorithm, but some do. So Owen also says a Samsung fridge. Owen, do you want to elaborate on that? Okay. Owen, I don't know if your mic works, but if you want to type that in the chat, that is also okay. Okay. So while Owen, oh, okay, it helps regulate temperatures. Yes, so that's a great example. So some Samsung fridges, they regulate the temperatures inside a fridge to like when it's like hotter outside or when it's colder outside, they like adjust the temperature according to that to make sure that your food doesn't spoil. And that's something like done by the AI algorithm. And that's kind of like an automatic thing. Okay, so you guys all gave some great examples. So an AI assistant is like can include so-called smart devices and digital personal assistants. So we're thinking Google, like, hey Google, hey Alexa, hey Siri, like how many of you use Google, Alexa, or Siri? Oh, wait, hold on. My Siri just responded to me saying Siri. But yeah, raise your hand or like type in the chat if you've ever used Google, an Alexa, or Siri. And I have, because I have an Alexa. Owen does not have a phone. Okay. Alan has. Is Alan the only one here who's ever used Siri or Alexa? You have? Okay. Yeah, so a lot of people here have used that. Oh, it's okay, Owen. I'm sure you've encountered Siri or Alexa or Google someplace. And Alexa and Siri, and also Google, are great examples of AI serving purposes in people's homes. So I can be like, hey, Alexa, play Spotify. And like, I don't know if you can hear it, but my Alexa is currently playing Spotify. Okay, sorry, this is my sister's K-pop playlist. Okay, Alexa, stop. So yeah, these AI tools can be pretty powerful in our homes. They can be really convenient. They can serve a lot of different purposes. I've played a lot of fun games with my Alexa. So yeah, they can be pretty helpful in our houses. Peggy has used one as a friend's house. So yeah, they're pretty ubiquitous. They're common in a lot of homes. Okay. Okay, so what are some common uses of AI in everyday life? So we already got some great examples earlier in the chat, but let's think a little more. So I just gave you a great example. I just told my Alexa to play Spotify. Does anyone else have an idea? This can be with an AI assistant like Siri or Alexa. Some of you may have some AI devices in your houses or have worked with AI devices other places in other people's homes or in other locations. So if you guys want to unmute, that would be great too. But chat works if your mic doesn't. Do search engines use AI? We're going to talk about that. Yes, they do. So that's a great question. Lego robot EV3. I actually don't know what a Lego robot EV3 is. Alan, do you want to explain that?
It's like this set of these like Lego robots that you can build, and then
Mm-hmm.
they have like a battery and stuff. So when you um and the remote control, so when you build it, and then you can like make it move around.
That's really cool. You're pretty sure Peggy says they're pretty sure they don't have AI. Well, we're gonna talk about that. And congratulations, Owen, for going to state in 2019. Yeah. So yeah, that's a great example, the Lego robot. Does anyone else have any other ideas how they use AI in their daily life? No? Okay, that is okay because I'm just going to go through a list of examples. And at the end, if you guys have any other ideas that come to mind when you think of AI, chess engine. That's cool. Oh, and what is a chess engine? I'm not very familiar. And how does it use AI? Okay, I'm gonna assume Owen is typing in the chat, and so we'll wait a few moments. A AI that learns how to play chess. That's really cool. Yeah, that is definitely chess. I mean, that is definitely involving AI. I guess it's like when you play like an automatic like computerized person like online, you would probably play an AI. That's cool. Okay, so now we're gonna go through some common everyday uses of AI. And some of these I actually didn't even know I was using AI. So when I was researching this, I was kind of like shocked. So yeah, Face ID. First of all, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, but yeah, like biometric data, your fingerprints, like when they like when I unlock my phone with my Face ID or when I open my computer with my finger, that's all AI. So we talked about that yesterday, so I'm not going to go in depth with that. Social media feed. So AI is trained. So I'm sure some of you know, but like some platforms are able to like track your data and see like what you're interested in, like if you're on TikTok, which TikToks you like, which TikTok you like watch through to the end, or like in Instagram, like which pages you follow. Like they know this data, and AI takes this data, they analyze it, and they figure out what you're interested in. So I don't have TikTok, but for example, if I'm on Instagram and I like food and I watch videos of like people making cakes, then all my ads then are like kitchen supplies and like food. Okay, that is an example. I see someone puts Facebook. Yeah. So Facebook also it's not just like Instagram, but Facebook, Snapchat, and also on like pretty much every single like social media feed ever, because their job is to get you hooked into their platform. So they're obviously going to advertise things that you're interested in so that they have your attention. Discord bots. I'm not too sure if Discord bots use AI. Maybe some of them do. That is something I haven't researched or looked into, but it's maybe possibly some of them could use AI. If someone wants to like research that and like give a synopsis, then maybe. But yeah, so another thing that uses AI is Grammarly. Who here has used Grammarly? I have definitely used Grammarly before. I find Grammarly to be a very helpful tool. Oh, it depends. Groovy? Does Groovy, the music bot, use AI? That's pretty cool. Yeah, some of my friends have Grammarly Premium because I don't know, because they need it. I guess they just want the Grammarly. But yeah, so Grammarly is a great tool. So what it does, it's an AI software. It like examines all your writing and it finds the grammatical mistakes, and also sending emails using like digital assistants such as Alexa, Google, Siri. Like I've told my Siri, like, hey Siri, send a text message. And when I say that, this AI assistant is listening to what I say, transcribing it, they're like typing it for me and they're sending it. So they know what I'm sending. Or if I send like emails using an AI assistant. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways AI can be involved in social media and sending emails and like online connections with other people. You used it at school in 3rd grade. We love Grammarly. I actually do love Grammarly. It is a lifesaver. I do recommend it. Grammarly is not perfect, but it definitely is helpful. Okay, so someone asked in the chat earlier how search engines might use AI, and they use it for ads, very similar to how social media works. Search engines, because there's so many search results, AI like takes all these. So if I search for like cats, so many people have posted pictures of cats, so many blogs about cats, everything. So what AI does is they analyze every single possibility, which is like millions, thousands, so many, I don't even know how many. And they put the best ones forward because the AI knows like what I've searched up before. They know what the topics I'm interested in. So they'll put the ones that the AI thinks that I'd like the most at the top. So, and also this goes for ads too. So search results and also ads that I'm not sure which, I'm not quite sure if Google uses ads. I think Google uses ads. I'm not really sure. Yeah. So thank you, Owen, for confirming. But Google does use ads, and how they choose what ad to promote to you is that the AI will analyze like your past search history and like what else you do on that browser and like see what you're interested in and push that to the front of your search engine to like kind of advertise it to you. So yeah, that's pretty much how it's used. I'm sure it's used in other ways too, but those are I think the 2 main ways they're used on search engines. We talked about this earlier, digital voice assistants. So like Siri, Alexa, Google, pretty much any other digital voice assistant you can think of. I think Siri, Alexa, and Google are like the main ones, but yeah. I think it's used by finding something related to the search and sends it out. Yeah, so that's what I was just explaining earlier. Yeah, Owen, that is exactly right. Okay. Okay, so smart home devices. So other than voice assistants, they're also used in devices such as the Samsung fridge that I'm not sure who mentioned it earlier, but credit to whoever did. And also they can be used in smart microwaves. They can be used on lights. So some of my friends, they have like AI operated lights. So they have like lights that like turn on at specific times of the day and then like automatically turn off. And that's AI analyzing what time it is outside, when it's optimal to have a lot of light in, when it's not, when you don't want lights, like when you're sleeping. And also some of these can also be controlled by certain apps on your phone that we'll talk about later. And another example that's not listed on here is like the heating and cooling system. Some homes have like a smart cooling system that their house naturally, or well, not naturally, automatically by an AI algorithm heats up or cools down at different times of the year, depending on the weather and also depending on what time it is, to make sure that like the house is like comfortable, it's not too hot or too cold. Okay. Yeah, so another reason that didn't come up in our discussion earlier was traveling and commuting. So we talked about this yesterday. Again, we have the AI self-driving cars. Those use AI. So that is one way, but also your map apps. So anyone here has used Google Maps, Apple Maps, or like GPS? Well, some GPSs. So okay, I'm going to assume that most of you have used Google Maps or Apple Maps and are familiar with the concept. Yes. I have because my mother needs directions all the time. So I am very familiar with Apple Maps. So what these apps do is that they analyze like the surroundings around you, and they like have like a ton of data that can so that they can accurately calculate what the fastest and best path is. Sometimes if you don't want to drive on highways, like you're a beginning driver, there's an option to eliminate highways out of the equation. And also there's sometimes they're also built to calculate traffic and how long it'll take there. And this is a great example of AI in works in my everyday life, because I remember when my sister was starting to drive, I had to like turn off the highways all the time, or like I had to like calculate. Well, I wasn't calculating; it was all the AI, but I had to figure out using AI what the fastest way to get somewhere was, especially if we were traveling. Okay, it's also used in banking. So this may not be in everyone's everyday life, but AI is used to detect fraud. So during large transactions, they want to make sure it's like legal and it's safe and secure, and it's not like some criminal trying to steal money. So a lot of AI is used to detect that. And online shopping, who here's bought something off Amazon? I have bought something off Amazon. Amazon is pretty convenient. Yeah. So similar to how ads are pushed onto search engines and social media feeds, they're also pushed onto online shopping. So it's not just Amazon, it's also other online shopping. So I've like shopped online for clothes, I've shopped online for groceries sometimes over the pandemic, and like for like pretty much anything. They like every single like online shopping page will push ads to you, and they will do this using the data the AI has collected about what you're interested in, so that they can push forward the thing they think you're going to buy, which can be pretty helpful because it can help for what I'm looking for, or it can be pretty inaccurate and kind of annoying. It's kind of a hit or miss, but yeah. So yeah, so it seems like a lot of you are familiar with online shopping. Um, and also even Netflix recommendations in the same way. Netflix knows what you're watching, like all the TV shows I'm into. And based on that, they'll push similar TV shows or TV shows that they think I'd like based on like how many other people liked it. And also like the kind of genres of like TV shows or movies I'm watching. So yeah, those are only a few examples. AI is like pretty much everywhere. So I'm sure you can find a lot more if you just like dug a little deeper into it. Okay, questions, or does anyone want to add? Did anyone find out about the Discord bot thing actually? Because that's like pretty interesting. Does anyone want to speak? I'm sure some Discord bots probably use AI. There are some there are some Discord bots you can chat to. That's interesting. Yeah, so I'm sure some Discord bots do use AI, but I'm not sure if all of them do. Okay, let's move on. I also did not know that. Okay. Okay, so this is a discussion question. So hopefully all of you guys can answer. What are some security concerns in AI devices at home? So this can be any AI device that we pretty much talked about on the last slide. So what are some security concerns that you think might come up regarding these devices? Hackers, great answer. Alan, do you want to expand on that?
Someone could just like hack into your like refrigerator, and then they can like know what you're shopping for
Yeah.
or like whatever. stuff.
Yeah, and if someone hacks into your refrigerator, what if they turn it off and all your food spoils? That's not good. Elsa said security issues. That's very valid. And Owen said scalpers. I'm not sure what scalpers are. Owen, do you want to expand on that? Okay. And Melan also said devices like Alexa are always listening, so privacy isn't concerned. Yeah, so actually, Alexa and Siri are able to respond to me because they're like kind of always like listening to what I say. So that can be a personal privacy like infringement. Okay, yeah, so my Alexa just went off. Alexa, stop. Yeah, so Alexa is always listening to me. Kind of unsettling. And also, um, oh, if Alexa got hacked, yeah, what if Alexa got hacked? And then people could listen to me through my Alexa. That's creepy. I'd be concerned. Buying a very one item with a bot and selling it for more. Yeah, oh, and that's a very good point. So sometimes scalpers are able to like kind of scam people and like make a ton of money. So what if they use the Alexa to speak? That is a good point. So what if someone hacked into an AI assistant and they used it to speak to me? Like I'd be really creeped out. I think that'd be a little, yeah, they can like listen into what I'm saying, they can speak to me. And okay, and yeah, I would be pretty unsettled. So that is definitely a major security concern. Okay, Owen also said, oh, your brother hacked an Alexa. I'm actually kind of impressed. But oh, no. Oh, okay. I see. I see. Well, I mean, people do it. So hackers can, you're not buying Alexas now. Okay, I'm not saying Alexas are bad. Like I literally have an Alexa, but we're gonna continue this conversation. But hackers can easily hack into Amazon cameras. Yeah, hackers can hack into a lot of AI devices and kind of like get personal data on you. Kind of unsettling. So yeah, thank you guys for all your input. But yeah, those are a lot of really great answers. Okay, so you guys kind of covered a lot of it, but AI has access to a lot of your personal data. I told you how Face ID and like fingerprint biometric data has a lot to do with AI. Well, yeah, my computer kind of knows like what my fingerprint is, and my phone kind of knows what my face looks like. And that is like we talked about in the last class, like that is kind of concerning because like what if like someone hacks into my account, they get access to that. I can't really change what my face looks like I can change a password. So that has been a major security concern. Then we have voice recognition. So I told you guys earlier about how Alexa and Google and Siri recognize what your voice sounds like. And when you set up an Alexa, actually you have to like record your voice so that Alexa can recognize what your voice sounds like. So yeah, so like major companies, like I think Amazon made Alexa, and correct me if I'm wrong. And also any other AI assistant knows what your voice sounds like, and they can use that to identify you. They know your birthday, address, financial information. Well, certain AI devices. So like your phone, if you have that saved in your phone, or if you have that like written somewhere in like an email, like AI probably can access that. So yeah, so criminals will target personal AI devices because personal AI devices are the closest to you and they know the most information about you. And this makes it super easy for them to steal your identity. Because pretty much once someone hacks an Alexa, they like know what your voice sounds like. They, depending on how much information you put in the Amazon app, they might know what your birthday is, what your address is, because your Amazon Alexa is at home and they do have like location like services. So they can like, they know your address, like even if you didn't tell them, which is definitely a concern. Okay, and another major concern is weak passwords. So a lot of people who are using these smart devices like the Samsung refrigerators, the automated lights, Alexas, they're all connected using like a smart home hub that have connected devices and that have weak passwords. So and there's like usually only one password because people don't typically create multiple passwords for different accounts because it's just like easier to have like one set password. Um, and I understand why that's convenient. However, it is a security concern, especially if your password is really weak. Like, what if your password is password or your password is like incorrect? Like, that's like so basic. Like, that's like the first thing a hacker would guess. So basically, a lot of hackers are able to get access to a ton of home AI devices by just hacking into these hubs that connect all of them. And so criminals can basically virtually break into your house. So an example we didn't discuss earlier, but I'm going to bring up now is that some AI, they are in the form of doorbells or locks on your doors or security cameras. So what if a criminal hacks into one of these devices, they can lock you out of your house by tampering with the AI lock. They can ring your doorbell annoyingly 24/7 by tampering with the AI doorbell. And they can edit footage from that security camera and probably go untraced because they can easily impersonate you if they do get hacked. I mean, if you do get hacked. So I know this is all kind of scary. Or 1 2 3 4 5 6. Yeah, that is like such a weak password. I know this is all kind of scary or like unsettling. I find it unsettling, but these are even more. Sorry. So these are even more security concerns. So I talked about this earlier, like location, like at home AI stores your address because they have like location tracking services and they can do that. So like your Alexa, maybe your smart fridge, your super fancy light bulb, who knows? And then apps. Okay, so I didn't talk about this earlier, in depth at least, but a lot of AI is controlled by third-party websites or apps. So I have an app, like an Amazon Alexa app, that I can control my Alexa with. So if that app is not secure and someone hacks into the app, they can impersonate me and they can control my Alexa. And that's like, okay, if someone controls my Alexa, it probably won't like severely affect my house. But a lot of people have apps that control the heating and cooling system, or that also controls like the light system. And so they can do like property damage, like over here. So if they can like hack into my app and they like overheat my house or they freeze my house, and that can actually do a lot of damage on the things inside of the house and also threaten like people inside. Like you can't be in like an area that's too hot or too cold or it threatens your health. And also these apps have a lot of your personal information. Like I'm logged into my app with my email, with my name, probably with my birthday. I don't even remember because it was years when I set up my Alexa. So they have access to a lot of my personal data and information that you don't want criminals having access to. I also talked about this on the previous slide, but locks, like hackers can tamper with smart door locks and they can lock you out of your house. And that's not fun if you're locked out of your house. Okay, smart devices listen to your voice and they can record you. When I first got my Alexa, sorry, I'm using Alexa as like my kind of like go-to example. But when I first got my Alexa, I kind of like did a few research about it and I like turned off this setting, which is really important. But they like are always constantly listening to you. And like when you like sign the terms and conditions, like they actually like you give consent for them to record you. So it is rather creepy because like all your voice is like in somewhere, like some storage place, like being stored, and you don't really know where it's going or who has access to it. So just to be safe, I would turn that off. But yeah, if you guys have an Alexa and you want to turn it off, you guys can do further research on that by yourself outside of class. But anyways, the smart devices, not only Alexas, like other AI services that are listening for voice recognition, they can listen to your voice and like record it. And also they know what your voice sounds like because we did the voice recognition thing. And finally, data. So they can get like, this is all kind of like going here, but basically they can manipulate data, especially if they get access to your personal information and they like impersonate you. It's really easily to manipulate the data without any trace. And this is majorly because like between AI devices, like sometimes your lights are connected to your refrigerator, or you can like turn down the lights using your Alexa. So, and a lot of this data transfer is unencrypted. So it makes it super easy for criminals to just like attack, to get involved in that. Okay, any questions? Okay, I'm gonna assume that means no questions. And now we're gonna move on. Okay, so this is another discussion question. So since we just talked about a lot of security risks that AI devices can bring, how can we be safe from these security risks? Does anyone have any ideas? You guys can unmute or use the chat. Can I say hi to Ruby? Okay, so we have a guest appearance. So, anyways, so what were your guys' ideas? How do you think you can be safe from security risks? Okay, no idea. Do you guys all just like anything at all? Don't sign up. Different passwords. Okay, one, you cannot sign up. I mean, that would be, don't buy any AI. That's kind of unavoidable, but yeah, I mean, it would work. Okay, turn off assistants like Alexa when you're not using them. That is a great point. Yeah, if you're not using them, turn them off. Create a stronger passwords. I hear a lot about strengthening your passwords. That's another really good way that you can keep yourself safe from any risks. And yeah, those are all great ideas on how you can stay safe from AI. Yeah, and also said create stronger passwords. So yeah, secure passwords are really important. Okay, good job. That was a lot of really great ideas. Okay, so this is some ways you can take security measures. So I believe that Melan stated this in the chat, but you can disable your smart devices when they aren't in use. So if you're not using your Alexa right now, you can just unplug your Alexa. You can turn it off. Or if you're not using your lights, like you're about to go to sleep, just turn it off. Actually, well, that's a little more complicated, especially if it's AI run. But for like simple devices, like you can't really turn off a fridge, but if you're not using your smart oven, turn it off. Well, hopefully it's already turned off. Otherwise, your house might catch fire. And disable recording services. So I stated this earlier, but you should turn off that setting where Alexa can record you, or where Siri can record you, or where Google can record you. Okay, another thing that wasn't mentioned earlier was two-factor authentication. So I'm sure that you guys have encountered this somewhere before. So now when you try to log into emails and things like that, you have to use two-factor authentication to make sure it's actually you trying to log into your email. And if it's not, you'll probably get an email about how someone's trying to log into your account. So yeah, this is super helpful to make sure someone's not stealing your personal data or trying to log in to one of your emails. Yeah, it just makes it really hard, difficult to impersonate you, and it's harder to steal your identity. Okay, and also mention strong passwords. Use different secure passwords and make sure that you remember them some. So yeah, it's not very good if you just forget your password, but how using secure passwords is really important because we watched a video yesterday and 80% of cyber attacks are caused by weak passwords. So having strong passwords is really important. So for any Alexas or any like smart devices that has a password, you should use a good one. Okay, here's some more ways we can take security measures. Avoid sending emails with AI, especially emails that are extremely important, that contain a lot of your personal data. So sometimes when you send an email to your local bank and you're using Grammarly, or you're using another AI assistant to assist you in writing that email, that AI can read the contents of your email and it's in their data. They know. So hypothetically, if I'm sending an email to take a loan from a bank, then and I need to send the bank my bank account details and I'm using Grammarly can kind of they can analyze that data and then they suddenly have access to my bank account. So I'll try to avoid that, especially important emails. Now, if you're writing an essay or you're writing an email to a teacher that really doesn't contain a lot of like essential personal data, just use the AI, then copy, then turn the AI off and paste it. That would be fine, I guess. Like do what you need to do. But yeah, if you're writing an email to your teacher and there's like no like personal information involved, then you're fine. So I'm not saying to not use Grammarly. I'm just saying be careful. Okay. And then delete stored recordings. So I mentioned this like earlier, but like sometimes other AI can like record you and you should delete them. There are settings to do that. So that's for like personal privacy, and also like major companies have access to this information. So yeah, that's kind of weird if major companies have access to what my voice sounds like. I don't think they need to know that. Okay. Also, only use authorized apps to control. Only use authorized apps to control your AI settings to avoid being hacked, because a lot of the times hackers go for these apps, like these third-party websites or apps, because it's easier sometimes to get into those than your actual AI device. But once they get into your app, they essentially have access to that AI device because that's what controls the AI. Okay. Questions, comments, or anything else anyone want to add? Okay, it seems that we have no more questions. So thank you all for participating. I think we're going to move on to AI in national defense. So this is a really interesting topic. It's a major debate. It's kind of going back to AI ethics that we talked about last Tuesday. So do you think AI should be in the military? That's what this whole is talking about, like this whole section. AI giant soldier? No. A lot of resounding no's and one singular yes. Okay, so this is a major debate. There is no right or wrong answer. We will not judge anyone for this answer. And I also want to say AI, warfare itself can be a very sensitive topic. So, wow. Okay, we see a lot of debate in the chat. Would you guys want to verbally express your ideas? Since Alan was the singular person who said yes, Alan, would you like to support your stance and answer why you think AI should serve in the military?
I'm just guessing.
You were just guessing? Okay, that's okay, because does anyone want to support their answer as to why AI should not be in the military? I already saw some reasons in the chat, including they could be hacked, they could turn on us, and we could die. Valid. No guess is just opinion. Owen also stated that we can't let robots take over the world. And so, yeah. Meilon stated, I don't think they should be given access to important info, but we can use them for simple tasks. Okay, I think that is more on the other topic, but I do agree. I do think AI can be very helpful, very useful, but I don't know. I don't want them infringing on my personal privacy. Okay, so we can discuss this further later, but we're going to get into both sides of the argument because I think it's valid to see both perspectives. And then at the end, we can, after you guys have learned about it a little more, we can discuss more about what you guys think. Okay, so first we're going to learn about the history of robots in warfare. And there really isn't that much, but it began in World War II. So the first ever attempt was in World War II. So most of the attempts so far have been ineffective, or they've just like flat out failed. And yeah, I mean, that is going to change. It is already changing. So yeah, whether we want that to change or not, that's up to us. There was one drone that actually worked. Yeah, there was like some drones that actually worked, but most of them don't. Oh, I accidentally give you like, Okay, I accidentally gave you a sneak peek of the next slide, but we're gonna talk about this. So Operation Aphrodite was a US military operation. During World War II, they tried to use drones as bombers. And so they basically used like a ton of like, they modeled off like Boeing planes and they tried to implement them and during battles during World War II. Since World War II was big on warfare in the air, they tried to do this. Unfortunately, they had a hard time controlling them. They weren't too effective, and they like usually didn't fly as high as the other bombers. So they kind of dropped that, but that was kind of like the first time the US ever attempted it. Okay. So they're usually operated using a third-party devices by military personnel. So think of like a usual drone, how you use like a little remote to control where it flies. So basically they some like usually a military personnel like kind of guides it and controls it. Okay. So last September, AI was used to identify targets in a live operational kill chain. So what this means, this was also confirmed last September by the Secretary of the US Air Force. So it's legit. Basically, AI was used to identify targets, so human targets, to like kill them in one of their military operations. And this was last September. So this was like less than a year ago. So clearly AI, whether we like it or not, is already being implemented in military operations. So I have a question for you. Yeah, not yesterday, whoops, but on Tuesday, we started talking about AI ethics. So do you think this is ethical to have robots in warfare? Why or why not? And this is open-ended. There is no right answer. There is no judgment. You are allowed to change your opinion. Nothing is set in stone. Okay. If you guys still are unsure whether to answer or whether what to answer, that is okay too. But does anyone have any ideas? Do you think it's ethical? They already have UAV. What does UAV stand for? Okay. Well, if you guys remember the UNESCO Code of Ethics, there was like robots shouldn't be used for like harming humans. So according to the Code of Ethics, this is not ethical. But let's see. Unmanned aerial vehicle, bad spelling. It's okay. Yeah. So they already have it, but is it ethical? That's okay. We can get into this debate. Also, here's the next question, kind of on that. Should wars be fought solely by robots in the future? The argument for this is that robots well, there's no human lives at cost if it's solely fought by robots. But then an argument against it is that how will one side win? Because like if robots and technology is all the same and they're just fighting each other, obviously that would create a ton of waste if we just have a ton of dead robots. And also robots, like they can be like revitalized, like they can be rebuilt. So it's more of like a material war rather than a war fought on blood. So if better security, then okay. Yeah. So should they be fought by robots? Maybe, maybe not. Okay, very interesting topic. Okay, we can come back to this, or we will come back to this, but yeah. Okay, now we're gonna talk about Avatar 3, robots in enforcement. So this is a little different than robots in warfare, but the Avatar 3 inspects dangerous situations. It's mainly used by emergency workers, first responders, and law enforcement workers. So when they are inspecting a dangerous situation, they are built to inspect it before any humans go into the situations because we want to protect everyone's lives as much as possible. And the Avatar 3 has been pretty revolutionary. It can be built to fit any needs, and it is only used for inspection. So Avatar 3 is not built to kill. This is not built to help people murder each other. So what do you think of this? Is this ethical? Is this more ethical than robots in warfare? Yeah, so this is another idea circulating around this whole debate, that what if robots in the military were only used as like scouts, like they were only used to inspect the situation, but were not used for actual violence. So that is another viewpoint that is also in this circulation of debate. So what do you guys think of this? Again, no right or wrong answers, just feel free to say anything. Also, guys, you guys can just like unmute, like, unless your like mic doesn't work, you don't have to keep using the chat. Also, okay, so it seems that you guys are not quite sure. Oh, we have a chat. It's indirectly helping people murder each other, but it's better than directly murdering people. Okay, so Meilon's viewpoint is that it's kind of indirectly helping them kill each other. I mean, if it's used in like military, then I guess like I do see your point. It is kind of messed up. It is kind of the direct if the AI is autonomous. Yes, that is true. I'm guessing you guys are talking about AI in the military and like in warfare. To be clear, the Avatar 3 is used in like law enforcement, and law enforcement should not be killing people. And first like responders like firefighters and like emergency workers like doctors and stuff in a dangerous situation. So yeah, it is kind of direct if the AI is autonomous. So, but this AI isn't killing anyone, it's just assisting people. Yes, so the Avatar 3 is built to assist people, and however, other military robots are not. Well, they are built to assist the military, but the military and people are not exactly the same thing. So, well, I'm not okay. The military is like made up of like soldiers who are people, but the military's job is not. Well, the military does a lot of violent operations. So, okay. Yeah, thank you, Meilon and Owen, for your valuable input. Okay, so we are going to move on. So this is kind of like the for and against. So for, this is like why people argue that robots should be involved in warfare. And I'm taking like a neutral stance here. So complete robot warfare means that no humans' lives are at cost. Robots are accurate and efficient, so there's higher rate of successes in military operations. And robots can also detect possible challenges like the Avatar 3, like such as radiation, environmental challenges, and opposing soldiers. So these robots in a military operation or like a battle, they can sense what environment would be helpful to them in warfare, what wouldn't be. Radiation, so like if they're fighting in a zone with like nuclear radiation, and opposing soldiers, like they can sense where they are, and they also know they can calculate the best military routes that would help them win the battle. Okay, now let's take a look at for against. So first of all, complete robot warfare would pretty much mean endless fighting, or it would take a lot longer for war to end, because you just keep, it's just about production, you keep making it, and then you get into this deadlock where neither side wants to give up. And this is called total war. So basically, like all these robots would be fighting for forever and forever until one side pretty much just gives up and can't produce robots anymore. And yeah, so it's like a war of attrition. So they're just like fighting in a deadlock, and neither side can give up because they're so evenly matched. There's also ethical issues. Should robots be made to intentionally be used to harm humans? And also, are these robots like conscious? Are they autonomous? Are they making this decision on their own? There is a lot of questions that are encompassed in ethical issues. We discussed this a little bit last Tuesday, but yeah, that is a whole nother topic. It also enables mass loss of life, because robots, they are powerful. They can be used in a lot of malicious ways to intentionally harm people, and it opens the door for so much more loss of human life. Just how nuclear weapons were a huge advancement for humanity, it also does allow a lot of loss of life and radiation and harm to the environment. I mean, nuclear bombs in general are like, they do cause a lot of mass destruction. And just like that, robots can be really helpful. Robots are a major technological advancement, but they can also enable a lot of suffering. Okay, so they can also be complex and unpredictable. Just like someone said in the chat, and also demonstrated by the Operation Aphrodite in World War II, sometimes we don't know what will happen. Maybe they'll have a malfunction, maybe there'll be a glitch, maybe there'll be a bug, and that can go really wrong, especially with robots who are used in warfare. Like, what if your entire robot army has like a glitch and it, like, I don't know, they all turn against you? That'd be pretty bad. And also they can be out of control and they can be hacked. I'm not sure who mentioned this earlier, but yes, robots, and like we have shown time and time again, AI can be hacked. So what if your enemy hacks into your entire robot forces and then they basically kind of like turn on you? So that can be a major issue. And in the wrong hands, military devices like military robots can be detrimental. So that is kind of like for and against. So now that I've given you all this information, do you guys want to continue your discussion? Do you think robots belong in the military? Do you think robots should be used in the military? Still no. Okay, Pei says still no. Would you like to expand, or would anyone want to agree or disagree? Okay, Alan agrees with Pei. Elsa also agrees. So, and also based on our chat earlier, I do think a lot of people here agree that robots should not be used in warfare. So it seems that you guys agree with the UNESCO Code of Ethics. It takes one hacker getting into the system to kill a lot of people. Yes, that I agree. And it is a little bit harder to hack an actual human. So yeah, that is very true. Okay. Okay, so do you think robots, okay, we kind of just went through this question, but robots in warfare are extremely, so my personal opinion, I also agree with many of you in this call. I don't think that they should be used in warfare because again, it takes like one hacker, and hackers are getting pretty creative these days, to get to kill a lot of people using these robots. And also, but you can bribe a person. Yes, you can bribe a person, but you cannot ever like have full control over this human. Owen has to leave early. That is okay. Thank you for your participation. Yes, Alan also mentioned that you can bribe a person. However, it is much harder to fully have like take full control over your every move. But hackers can do that by switching up the code in an AI algorithm. And then there's this huge debate over whether AI is conscious, whether they have sentience, like whether they feel emotion, whether they're making this active choice to serve in the military or not. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen on the news lately, but a Dairy Queen employee just got fired because they found out that their ice cream machine run by AI is now becoming emotional. So we don't know, maybe they can develop emotions, maybe it's written into their code. So it's a very interesting topic, and I guess none of us will ever really know what's going to happen until it actually happens. It is rather difficult to predict. Oh no, evil ice cream machine. Yeah, it does really sound like something out of a dystopian movie. If you guys are interested, you guys can search it up after class. But yeah, it is kind of shocking. So okay, going back to this question, should total robot warfare be implemented? So a lot of us agree that, first of all, robots should not be fought in wars, or I mean, robots should not participate in wars because of like they're intentionally being used to harm human lives. But what if it's just robots on robots? Is that, do you guys think that would be ethical? Or do you guys think that would be like, that would be something that would happen in our future? What is your, what are your thoughts on that? Again, please feel free to contribute any of your thoughts, all of them. All of your opinions and thoughts are valuable. And please don't be scared to answer, because again, there's no right or wrong answer. This is a very open-ended debate. And like, you can have any like thoughts and opinions on it. No one's gonna judge you. So, and also, if you have any questions for me or for anyone else in this class, I will try my best to answer, and I hope everyone else will too. But yeah, does anyone have any thoughts on this, or do you guys are just lost? Meilon says nobody would die, but that would just be a battle of who can throw the most money and resources at warfare, because robots can't really die. I agree. I think that is one major downside. I think the upside of that is that humans won't have to fight wars anymore. So no human lives would be lost if they're fought using solely robots. But yes, robots can be destroyed, but the algorithm is they use is pretty much like copy paste, so they can just keep producing wars. Their servers can be destroyed. That is true, but I'm sure people are creative. They can like write a whole new algorithm. That is true. Pei and Meilon do bring up really good points. And the body requires materials to build. Yes. So if like warfare was fought between countries using only robots, what would happen if an extremely developed country with a lot of income, with a booming economy, invaded another country with not as many resources? Like, that wouldn't really be, I mean, you can already kind of tell what the outcome would be, because one, yeah, so basically it would be a battle of money. It would be a battle of resources. And if you guys are familiar with World War I and World War II, that was essentially how those two wars were fought. They were both wars of attrition, which means that they weren't wars of like who fought each other. Well, definitely there was fighting happening, but it was more about who could produce more, who could get more soldiers, who could mobilize their troops better, who could get more resources, who could produce more money. And it was basically a war of who could survive the longest. So if we do actually use robots in warfare, who would win if it was just a war of how much you can produce? So that becomes pretty concerning, because then wars would go on so much more longer, and maybe not as many lives would be lost, but a lot of materials would be lost, a lot of money would be lost, a lot of harm to the environment would be dealt. Milan mentioned, I mean, more developed countries would most likely win in a traditional war anyway, because they would have better forces. That is a very good point. Yeah, so it just kind of shows like power imbalance. Yeah. Yeah, so those are all really good points. Okay, so now do you guys want to play a blue kit? Okay, so if you guys, let me like set this